welcome back to Shock's Talks. I'm Shakti, and today is going to be a quick check in. And today I'm talking about out of body experiences. So, on this channel, my anomalous study hall, it's basically just a checkpoint in your week, hopefully, to see where you're at with your own anomalous studies and research. Anything from the supernatural or paranormal to psi abilities, remote viewing, psychic practices. Sometimes it's more spirituality focused, sometimes it's more UFO history and current UFO events. Last week I was reviewing Disclosure Day, Spielberg's summer blockbuster that tries to basically tie together a lot of the major themes of the UFO topic in one entertaining, adventurous movie story. And I really liked it. I thought it was really fun. I'm finding it very interesting how people who I know who love movies but aren't necessarily into the topic kind of hated it. And people who are into the topic are having really emotional, positive responses. So, just interesting to notice. All in all, it's just another movie. It's not that big of a deal, but it's pretty interesting how many facets of the topic he touches on, or the whole group of people that made that movie, because obviously we can't give all the credit to just one man. Movies are highly collaborative. And so, however, this thing came into being, overall, I found it to be a pretty positive offering and pretty entertaining. And you can check out my review if you're interested in that. But this week, I've just been recovering from a little sickness and laying low and drawing my energy back within. And I've actually felt like this kind of surge of energy over the course of the last week. And it feels like catching a wave if you were trying to surf. It feels like the universe, whatever non-physical helpers or the larger consciousness system itself, was kind of poking me saying, hey, look, there's a wave coming. You got to catch this wave. I need you to work with this wave. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to do? And they're like, well, you're going to get really, really sick, so that you have to be with yourself and your thoughts and take really excellent care of your body and go within. And it just dropped me into this little learning module, like life does sometimes. And basically, what this week has been about for me has been deep research again into out of body stories and experiences that other people are having. Um, a lot of journaling in a very structured way, where I started this gratitude journal practice where you write 6 things that you are already grateful for. And then the seventh one is something that you might be working on manifesting, but you write it as if it's already here. So it's just 7 little sentences a day. And I've been doing that consistently every day. And that just felt nice and grounding and refreshing. And then I've been writing down my dreams every night for about 10 or 11 days now. And in that dream practice, I've been noticing what's going on and kind of relating it to the work of people like Luis Monero, who wrote Demystifying the Out of Body Experience, and Nancy Trivolato, whose book I'm reading right now. I believe it's called Vibrational Energy States or something to that extent. And this idea that you hear about from different people who go out of body about thought forms and kind of your own energy bubble. So what I'm trying to understand here, because what has become clear to me in general through my own experiences and all the research I've done into consciousness, is that we are absolutely awareness experiencing. Tom Campbell says awareness with a choice, which is cool. That means we have free will. So we are awareness, we are aware consciousness units in a consciousness system. And that really takes you to the simulation hypothesis. Some people think of it more literally as a computer, but really it's this idea that we are information, we are free will awareness information in an information system. And this goes back to the ancient teachings throughout the world. All the different religions talked about this in different ways. But because of this basic premise of us being consciousness in an information based system, we have the ability to interact with information in order to affect changes. And what I'm learning from the people who go out of body is that it really does seem that from their perspectives, we are living in a subset of a larger reality, which is what Tom Campbell has said. So for all these years, I've been gathering stories, gathering information. I'm convinced, but I still want to have my own out of body experiences. And something that I've been learning, and I've had little tastes here and there. I've had a couple of them for sure, but I have not had the full blown classic turn back around and look at your body type of experience yet. And I haven't had the transitional experience of like going through the vibrational state all the way into the out of body. I think I've had little bits of the vibrational state. I've had little bits of kind of falling asleep, having a nap, or sleeping at night and drifting out of my body and my consciousness waking up and I'm like twisted across the bed, kind of floating above it, and my feet are sort of off in a weird direction that they're not supposed to be. And then I kind of snap back into my body, little things like that. And I've also had many experiences of, I guess, visions in the hypnagogic state, you could say, while you're physically in sleep paralysis and but you can open your eyes and you still see things that are part of the dream or not part of the regular waking reality. I've had all those kinds of experiences. And so I've been asking myself, what is all this? How does this work? How does this all make sense? And I'm starting to realize that we are just on a spectrum of consciousness experience. So it makes sense that people use metaphors like different densities or different frequencies or dimensions or realms to try to make sense of this pretty simple concept, which is just a spectrum of rule sets, data sets, or experience frameworks. And our consciousness can travel between them, which is why people like Tom Campbell like to say it's just switching data streams, because you don't actually have to leave your body. You were never in it to begin with. You're just experiencing the body. You're experiencing the information of the body in this reality frame. So one thing that's been coming up again and again in the stories that I'm listening to on the channel, Out of Body Stories, is this idea that we all have our own way of doing this, and there's not one way. And the same is true of psi abilities and people who are psychics, and even the psionic assets like Jordan Jozak, who recently went on American Alchemy and had a really interesting discussion with Jesse Michaels all about his past. All of these people, even Preston Dennett, who is a UFO researcher who was recently on Area 52, and he's a classic UFO researcher, has written tons of books, has been doing his own thing while working a day job for years and years. Super cool researcher, in my opinion. He talked about his out of body experiences too. And I emailed him and he sent me his like couple pages of tips and tricks and how he learned it. And he also mentioned that he has a book about it, so I ordered that book and I listened to his YouTube episode about his out of body experiences. What I'm starting to realize is that all of these things and psychedelic experiences and dreams and visions and imagination and waking life, they're all on a spectrum, like I've said. And so what that means is that we're even closer than we think to slipping between these realms or lifting the veil, like people say. In fact, maybe there is no veil really. And what's happening is we are just simply choosing to tune our awareness to more or different kinds of experiences. For example, if you are playing a game of I Spy and maybe you make up this game with your siblings in the car when you're a kid and you say, let's just, everything green that we see, we're going to look for, and then you just start seeing more and more and more and more green. Or you are an adult and you've had wine a couple times and it tastes like this one's kind of grapey and that one's kind of appley, but beyond that, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then you take a couple wine tasting classes or you take your sommelier training and you start to you tune your awareness to the gradient of subtle aromas and flavors, and you develop a vocabulary and you learn how other people have found their way to these distinct flavors and profiles, and you follow in their footsteps, and then you kind of find your own way, and you might identify something that they never even thought of, or you have your own association with a certain smell or taste. So you can see where I'm going here. Basically, it's like you're taking this blurry part of reality that was kind of just opaque to you, and you're tuning your awareness to bring this new level of clarity to that aspect of reality that was always there. All those aromas were always there, and all those flavors were always there, but you weren't looking for them and you weren't thinking about them. All of this is just leading me towards this recognition that all of this stuff that I want to experience is already available to me. It's just a matter of continuing down my path of experimentation and learning and playing. Even in dreams, you can get real information that applies to waking life. I've had precognitive dreams, I've had insights from dreams, and most of the time, what I would consider a dream is something that's happening within my own sort of thought bubble of my own subconscious. So it's usually more about me and what's going on inside of me and less about things outside of me. What I'm hoping is that when I get to the level of astral travel or out of body travel, that I'm going a little bit beyond just my immediate personality thought bubble that I live in all the time, or even my subconscious thought bubble. I want to go beyond that and into thought forms and energy forms that are outside of myself to gather information and to learn things. And I want to have all the fun adventures that I've been hearing people talk about, like visiting the Akashic records or the halls of a mentee and learning about your past lives, or going to an underwater mystery school, or going to some kind of healing temple, or just flying around your neighborhood. You know, these things sound really, really fun. And of course, then there's all the alien experiences that people have out of body, or just going out to space, or meeting other beings, other interdimensional beings. um, I think that in order to best analyze the UFO phenomena, we have to have our own experiences of out of body travel, because there does seem to be some kind of connection between those things, and it's important to get more information, to have more stories to analyze so that we can better understand whether all of this is just consciousness phenomena, or if we are dealing with advanced technology and people are actually being beamed out through the walls and through the ceiling up into these craft or whatever. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I'm very curious, and I think that gaining my own understanding of out of body is going to be one way that I can better analyze some of those stories. And the people who I know who have done it, they talk about how distinctly different the out of body experience is from a dream or from a lucid dream. And Preston Dennett was saying that for him, his abduction or contact experience was distinctly different from the out of body experience. He's also had many out of body experiences. So these are the things that I need to know for myself. So I've been doing a lot of meditating, a lot of laying down with headphones and a blindfold, and either the binaural beats or just silence. I've been doing some self hypnosis, some affirmations, all the tricks, all the things that they recommend, and just filling up my mind with stories of out of body travel. So that's what I've got going on this week. Today is the summer solstice, so happy solstice. And let me know if you've ever had an out of body experience or a near death experience. Are you a lucid dreamer? Do you have any tips for me? Are you a practitioner of any psi abilities? Because these are the things that I'm really focused on right now. So share a good book title or point me in the direction of a channel that I don't know about. I'm always looking to learn more. And hopefully, hopefully one day we can be meeting in some kind of out of body classroom, learning some cool new abilities. I've also heard that, like, when you do start doing these things, the out of body practice, that the psychic powers ramp up pretty quickly, which is very interesting. Or, your psychic perceptions become stronger in waking life. And I feel like I've already experienced my own psychic abilities ramping up over time. It's been pretty steady with little bursts here and there where it gets really sharp and then it kind of goes back into like a more steady pace of growth. But I'll be curious to see if these practices have an impact on that as well. Okay. Happy Sunday. See you next time on Chalk Talks.